And I'm joined by Danielle Lloyd, star model, TV personality. Welcome to the programme. Now, was it as a little girl, were you always going to be a beautician, a model? Was this, where your life was always going to go?
I actually was in a really violent relationship when I was young, so I had no confidence whatsoever, and it was actually my mum who got me involved in doing pageants and modelling, just to try and get me some confidence back. And obviously had a lot of knockbacks doing the pageants, but I carried on going, and then eventually I won Miss England.
Well, you won Miss England, you won Miss Great Britain. I mean, wow, and yet today people talk about pageants as if it's exploitative of women and it's all demeaning and it's wrong. What would you say to that?
I'd say, obviously I get where they come from when, people dress, they get the girls in like the bikini segment or whatever. They've changed that now and they are a lot more covered up. But for me, it helped me so much. It gave me so much confidence. I actually got on stage and I talked about domestic violence, and that's actually what made me win, because it gave me the strength to help other people.
Well, it gave you so much confidence that you went to Playboy and you modelled for Playboy, and you were stripped of your title for inappropriate behaviour.
I know. Well, thankfully in the end they actually gave me it back, and I do still have the crown. But no, yeah, and do you know what? I loved it. It was amazing. It was the best experience ever, Playboy. Like, I was so lucky, and actually the pictures are something that I look back on today and think, wow. Not many people can say this.
No, that's good. If that's how you feel about it, that's good.
Yeah.
And of course, it was the Lads Mag's boom time, wasn't it? Loaded, Nuts, Zoo, and all these different Lads Mags. It was a huge phenomenon.
Yeah, it was.
And you were there on front cover after front cover. But again, we sort of think, well, men shouldn't behave like this anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Like, I suppose if my kids were watching that, I've got 4 boys, so I'll be like, put that
down. Would you?
I don't know. Obviously, lads are lads, aren't they? And I think, like, I'm really fortunate because it was an amazing time back then. But I was almost like in front of the camera, I was somebody else to what I was behind. Like, it was almost like a...
You see, some people, Danielle, would say, well, on the one hand, you did all these things, but on the other, you do understand what domestic violence is. You campaigned on this issue. There are some that say, well, it's all these lads mags, it's this toxic culture that leads to all this violence and problems. But you see them as two different things.
Yeah, 2 different things. Obviously for myself, I was in control by this point of what I wanted to do. I took control of my own life, and I made a lot of money doing it. So, it was fun, and I look back and I don't have any regrets.
Good. You made lots of money. And so suddenly, you become this TV person, and you're appearing on all sorts of different programmes. Some good, maybe some not so good. Yeah. But you do have a bit of success, don't you? Because, you go on to the celebrity version of programmes and you start winning them. Total Wipeout. You go on, you win. You go on to the celeb weakest link.
I know.
And you've got to answer, and you've got to answer loads of questions, and you win.
I know, it's crazy. I don't know how.
I
must have manifested it.
What was it? I mean, did you enjoy being? You were a TV celebrity. You were one of the early wags, which means you're constantly, whatever you do, there's someone there snapping away at what you do, and every single piece of clothing that you wear, and how your hair looks, and how maybe you look a bit tired that day or don't look, or the makeup's different. What's it like living under that kind of spotlight?
It can take its toll. Like, I've had really down days. I've actually been really down. I had a lot of problems and ended up in rehab. I was really depressed. I actually did consider taking my own life at one point, and it all was down to feeling the stress of being in the spotlight. It was just all too much.
And almost a competition. You're competing against everybody else, the other wags that...
Yeah. I think think that's until you're older. I think a lot of the celebrities are still like that now, especially like you get your Love Island, and they're all fighting for the same jobs. But when you get older, and I've moved out of that, and I took a step back, and I can actually realise like I've got my life where I am, and if I want to step back into it and come down to London and do a bit of work now and again, I can, and then go back to my normal life, and that's what I love.
Because a lot of people who've been through these, reality programmes and celeb TVs and whatever, they've kind of said that the programmes have used them and then dumped them.
Yeah, I do get that, because it's that sort of like on to the next. But obviously for someone like myself, I've been fortunate enough to have such a long career, and I'm thankful that I'm still around.
You've had a good run.
Yeah, 20 years later. But a lot of the TV shows now are sort of, the yearly shows, and they haven't got the sort of magazines anymore and things like that. It's all online, and it's hard. It's a hard industry to be in.
Now, you're a bit of a campaigner. You talked earlier about domestic violence.
Yeah.
But also plastic surgery, having lips done and boobs done and whatever else. And hey, it's not just women, men do a lot of this now, Botox, you name it. We get it from America, but it's becoming ever more part, of millions of people's lives. They've got to get this operation, that operation. But you're kind of, flying a flag here, and same as a warning here, aren't you?
Yeah, I've had a lot of problems with surgery in the past, especially with my boobs. I nearly died. And it was just horrendous. And obviously, anyone that is wanting to have surgery, I'd tell them to just consider it really carefully, because there are so many risks. And now, being a mum of 5, I definitely wouldn't put myself through that. I just wouldn't take the risk of not being there for my kids.
No, well, you really think it's that serious, the potential risk of doing these operations?
Yeah, I mean, obviously some surgeries are more risks than others, but you just got to consider it. So, I had a blood clot after the surgery that I had, and I literally lost half. I think it was 6 pints of blood I lost on the table, and luckily they were able to save me. But
there's a lesson here.
Yeah.
Grow old gracefully, folks. That's the lesson I think that Danielle's giving us.
And now, I look at my kids and I think, luckily I am here for them, and now you've got to look after myself. So now I'm in the gym every day looking after my body rather than...
Now, I'm going to say, we're going to finish with that, because I think the most important part of far more important than anything else you've done, is that you've got 4 boys and you've got a daughter.
I know.
As well.
I know.
So you're a pretty busy mum.
I am, non-stop. Literally, it's crazy, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I literally eat, sleep and breathe for my kids now.
How's it for one daughter with 4 brothers?
She's more hard work than the boys.
Oh, no.
She is. I've wished and wished and wished for her, and she's like a little diva, but the boys dote on her, so yeah.
And what's the age range?
The oldest is nearly 13 and the youngest is 1.
Oh, your problem. Let me tell you something. Your problems haven't even begun. It gets a lot more difficult.
Thank you. The oldest one's getting a bit grumpy and a bit just wanting to stay in his bedroom, and the clothes get through on the floor, and
a bit like Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin and Perry, that's what I call them.
Well, Danielle, I have to say, you've lived quite a long life in the public spotlight. Yeah. We're talking about 20 years or so that you've been doing all of this, and you seem, despite a few problems along the way, to be pretty happy with life. Yeah,
I am. I am really, really happy. I'm in a really good place. And everything that I've been through in the past has got me where I am today, and it's been one big lesson.
And for young girls, wanting to be models, still a good career?
Yeah, why not? If that's what they want to do. But with the same with my children, I'll always tell them to go to school and get your education, because that's the most important thing.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.